Welcome to Orangeville. Located in Dufferin County, this town is 90 minutes northwest of Toronto. This growing community has a vibrant downtown, which is alive and well with busy restaurants and shops. But in this video, I'm also exploring beyond Orangeville's borders and checking out the communities and stunning landscapes that surround it. Here's how I spent one day exploring Orangeville and the surrounding area. Hey, I'm Mark, and if this is your first time here, I make videos about places and experiences here in Canada. And as always, I can't cover everything in a single video, so please comment below if I missed something or there's info that you think viewers should know about. I'm also always looking for suggestions and ideas for future videos, so let me know. My first stop is Cheltenham Badlands, which is southeast of Orangeville. It's recommended that you reserve your parking in advance, and I would agree. The parking lot is very small. Once you're parked, there's two ways to get to the Badlands. You can take the trail through the forest or walk up to the road and take the sidewalk. There isn't much to see through the short forest walk, so it doesn't really matter which one you take, really. You won't miss anything if you take the sidewalk. The landscape here is quite striking, and I don't know of anywhere else in Ontario that looks like this. I mean, technically, this is what a lot of southern Ontario looks like under the flora and foliage, and to see it exposed like this is pretty interesting. But this is actually the result of farming that basically turned the area into the surface of Mars. Early farmers cleared the area of trees, and eventually the thin soil layer eroded away. By the 1940s, the area was starting to look like it does now. It's a unique and interesting thing to see, but it's time to move northward. I decided to actually blow right by Orangeville and head up to Shelburne, the first small town on my itinerary. My plan was to work my way back down throughout the day to make the drive home a little shorter. This is Shelburne, host of the annual Canadian Open Old Time Fiddle Championship. The town was founded in the 1860s by William Jelly. By the mid-1870s, the railway reached Shelburne, and by that time, the town had grown considerably. From what I read, the town is still growing, with expectations that the town will double in size over the next 25 years or so. From what I saw towards the outskirts of town, newer development and some new plazas are already built out. This is, of course, no surprise. For small towns that have enough infrastructure, are within a couple hours of the GTA and have land to expand, a lot of them are seeing an influx in new development and residents as things get more and more congested near the big cities. Today, the downtown is a nice place to walk around, with restaurants and shops lining the main street. I was just kind of curious to check this town out, but I was on my way to Monocliff's Provincial Park with a very rigid entry and exit time for the park. So I grabbed a beef sausage roll from Jellycraft Bakery downtown and made my way to Monocliff's. The sausage roll was delicious, by the way, and I highly recommend it. This is yet another park that recommends buying your parking reservation in advance. It's just the way of the world, I guess. Everything is just getting busier, and they need to do some kind of crowd control for these beautiful locations. At the end of the day, this is going to help preserve these locations and make sure that they're beautiful for generations to come. But I'm sure glad I got my reservation in advance. From the parking lot, there's one main trail that feeds to the rest of the trails in the park. Most people are probably coming here to see the stunning glacial rock formations, and the hike to the rock formations takes about, I'd say, 15 to 20 minutes maybe. To get there, just keep an eye on the blue signs and follow the arrows for the viewing platform. This provincial park is made up of glacial moraines and spillways, and the landscape was carved out by glaciers thousands of years ago. Along the way, you'll pass through beautiful meadows and forests. Then you ascend a hill, and at the top of the hill is where you'll find the staircase that leads you back down the hill to the rock formations. I usually hike around the GTA, and what I often forget is that it's difficult to escape the noise pollution. But hiking out here on a very calm day with almost no one else around, it really hit me just how quiet it is out here. It was really nice to experience this place for the first time without anyone else around. The rock formations were as impressive as I had hoped. I spent a good 15 minutes here just enjoying the scenery and the stillness. To continue along the trail, you have to go back up the stairs. A little further along the path is a nice lookout, providing expansive views across the park. I really enjoyed this hike, but I would highly recommend visiting at off times and off season. I can imagine that the experience would be greatly diminished with masses of visitors around. After leaving the park, I went for a drive to check out some of the points of interest around the county. My first stop was the Museum of Dufferin. This was actually pretty cool. Inside the museum, they have replicas of historic homes, and you can actually tour inside the homes. It's weird to be on the second floor of a house, but still inside a building. They also have an old Ford Model T, some interesting exhibits about local life, and a contemporary art gallery at the top of the silo. My next stop might look familiar. This is the Rosebud Motel from Schitt's Creek. This filming location was used for the exterior shots of the motel. The interiors, however, were filmed at movie studios in Toronto. I think you can actually stay here now. The sign says open, but I don't know. My next stop was just down the street at the village of Hockley. I stopped in at the Hockley General Store, which is pretty great. Like any good general store, it has a variety of items, including a small LCBO liquor store, home goods, restaurant, bakery, coffee, and all that kind of stuff. I grabbed a coffee and a gigantic peanut butter cookie. Both were excellent, and I highly recommend stopping in here for provisions. It was finally time to punch in Orangeville on my Google Maps and head into town. As I made my way into town, I passed by Island Lake Conservation Area, which features hiking trails and elevated boardwalks. The boardwalks connect to several islands throughout the park, and it looks like an amazing hiking spot. I just couldn't get there today. Orangeville is the largest town in the area, and it's growing. You'll find the big box stores and new subdivisions here. Like Shelburne, Orangeville has the space for outward expansion, and it sounds like that's the plan going forward. The Ontario government is investing $8 million for water infrastructure, which will allow for over 3,000 new homes. They've also built a bypass around downtown, by the looks of it on Google Maps. Now, I don't know how long the bypass has been there, but from what it looks like, they are actively trying to deter trucks and traffic to go around the downtown instead of through it. This is a big deal because it keeps a lot of traffic and commercial vehicles out of downtown, which makes it much more livable and functional as a community hub. And you can feel the difference in downtown Orangeville. Without the semi-trucks rolling through downtown making a ton of noise, it instantly feels more enjoyable to stroll through. Towns like Shelburne need to address this traffic issue if they want their downtowns to thrive and turn into actual community gathering places. This is just my personal thoughts on it. Sorry, went off on a tangent there. Anyway, the downtown is pretty lively with lots of shops, services. There were art classes happening and busy restaurants which were all buzzing with families eating and people having drinks. I was very impressed with downtown Orangeville and how nice it felt to walk down Broadway and the surrounding streets and laneways. Settlement began here in the 1830s. One of the earliest settlers was John Corbin, who bought land near a tributary of the Credit River. It provided water for settlers and power for the mills. The community became known as Griggs Mill after another settler purchased 100 acres and opened his own mill. The name was eventually changed to Orangeville to honor yet another key figure in the history of this town. Now, you might assume his last name was Orange. No, Orange was his first name. Orange Lawrence was an entrepreneur from Connecticut. After moving to the area, he bought 300 acres. He bought Griggs Mill. He opened a general store and tavern. He built a second mill. He built the first school and became the first postmaster. I mean, he was crushing it. The town continued to prosper thanks to individuals like Orange. The arrival of the railway helped spur growth as well. But that growth would slow down and even go backwards. Like the Badlands we saw earlier today, the soil was thin here too, and erosion was a problem. The farming became challenging and many people moved west as land opportunities were opened up. But today, the pendulum has swung back in the other direction, and Orangeville is growing as a bedroom community for commuters to the bigger cities to the south. If you're interested in hearing more about the town's history and places of interest, the town has several self-guided walking tours on its website. It was now dark, and I decided to check out the ghost tour. The tour is narrated, so you can listen to the spooky stories as you stroll past the buildings. There's some fun and fascinating stories to hear, and it's a nice mix of town history and scary tales. One of my favorites was an incident that took place at the old Canadian Pacific Railway station. In 1894, legend has it that a very trusted and well-respected local man had seen some kind of ghostly spirit near the station while riding his horse home one night. No one believed him, until it happened for a second time. Only this time, his sister was with him, and she saw it too. This caused mass hysteria, and the townspeople took to the streets with guns, lanterns, and the whole witch hunt mob scene thing. They searched high and low through the town, but nothing was ever found. Obviously. It was a lot of fun. I recommend doing a tour. Anyway, I hope this video was helpful and gave you some insight into Orangeville and the surrounding area. If you made it this far, please consider subscribing. Thanks so much for watching. See ya.